Atsushi Ohkubo, a Ningen that needs no introduction. If you've been in the community long enough, his name has been thrown around a couple times here and there. Some may think he's one of the greats. I don't know who, but I'm sure they're out there, somewhere. And they need to read more manga if that's the case. Debuting with his short-lived manga, Be-Ichi, he wouldn't receive widespread acclaim, however, until the release of Soul Eater and the later series, Fire Force, which is what I want to talk about in this video. At the time of writing this script, I finally caught up to Fire Force's anime the past few days. A long overdue endeavor, and what a fire binge that was. Season 3 Part 2 especially really cranked everything to the highest degree in all aspects, and I'm glad to finally be caught up to the present material, as I liked everything I watched so far. So imagine the gall, the bullshit this last episode tried to pull on me. What did I get myself into? Fire Force's Season 3 Part 2 is currently on episode 8, with the next episode 9 premiering in a few hours, or when this video is published, it's already out. But let's focus on 8 for this video. Here's the quick rundown. All 8 pillars have disappeared and the second great cataclysm begins, blending the real world and Fire Force's world together. Kicking off the episode with the seiyuu for Sister Sumire playing her live-action variant, and chaos ensues. This episode, without a doubt, has been the eeriest entry to the season so far. At least, the first half. Cause what follows makes me not want to continue and see how this wraps up. Before I started my rewatch of the show, all over social media I kept seeing one clip from episode 8 plastered without context. From anime pages posting it to people quote tweeting and retweeting, I could not escape it. And I don't want to get my full thoughts without watching the rest of the series. Now that I've seen the episode in context with Fire Force's story, how do I feel? This brought down the episode for me, and not for the reason people may think. Up until now, I kept on saying rewatch because I used to watch Fire Force weekly when it was airing, but I stopped in the middle of its second season. Why, you may ask? Well, you see the title, let's get to the nitty-gritty. Insert Tamaki. I don't like Tamaki. For many, including myself, she's the sole reason many people stop watching the anime. Before season 3, the dynamic and flow of the story is ruined majority of the time she's featured. Whenever she appears, you can expect every single time her dumbass Lipservice happening. And every time, I let out the biggest sigh and my eyes glaze over because of the fan service. Now, before I get people in the comments calling me a tourist, I've been watching anime since I was in elementary school. I don't have a problem with fan service. I recognize it's been an element in anime since its inception, and it will continue to be. My only problem, and something I notice as I've gotten older, is why is it always underage children who are the subjects for this? Whenever this question gets brought up online, the common response will most likely be, it's just a drawing, bro. And if it were me, my rebuttal each time would be, well, if it's just a drawing, you could do it with an age-appropriate character then, right? Right? Hello, right? Well, you're thinking about it too much. No. If anyone replies like that, that's when you know you've stumped them, because they have no actual comeback. Listen, I used to watch a bunch of shows with fan service back in the day and not have a problem with it. But that was because I was 10, 11, 12 years old. Now, as a 28-year-old with a fully developed frontal lobe, I look back on those shows, and yeah, that was weird back then as well. This isn't a new issue. It's been plaguing the scene for decades, and all of this applies to Tamaki as well. But if you even think of trying to point it out online, especially if you're black, you'll get called a tourist, hoodweeb, racial slurs, the whole nine. Ohkubo's works are known to have elements of fan service, and Fire Force is no exception. But whenever it's Tamaki, it's always annoying. And I'm gonna list reasons why. Number 1, Tamaki's fan service versus the rest of the show. This show does have elements of fan service sprinkled throughout. It's not always Tamaki. Why it's not a problem here is because it doesn't spend time or linger on it. With Tamaki, every time in the series, the story, exposition, or any conflict has to stop to focus either on her clothes falling off, ripping, or her in a questionable position. Even so far as establish a running gag to the concept. In season 1, during Squad 8's first time in the Nether, the team gets separated. Tamaki ends up fighting a member of the White Clad named Assault. How the battle ends is Tamaki's Lesser Lure activating and Assault getting aroused. She doesn't win because of her actual powers, but her dumbass running gag. Any sensible person would think, finally, the shit is over. Surely it won't happen again. But no. They revisit this in season 2, but way worse. I refer to it as Tamaki vs. Assault 2, Electric Boogaloo. They decide to dedicate an entire episode in season 2 to Assault and Tamaki's one-sided rivalry, where he's basically training his brain to not get aroused by her. Like, this nigga's watching porn, reading lewd magazines, going to hostess clubs, all to not get a boner and bloody nose over this fucking child who couldn't care less about him. Now, when I first watched this in 2021, this was my initial giving up, because this honestly felt like a filler episode the amount of times it kept happening. Like, what are we doing here? Can we get back to the story, please? Now, any sensible person would think, okay, hopefully this won't happen a third time, right? Wrong. Because they decide to revisit it again in episode 8 of season 3, part 2. Can we please stop? Reason number 2, Tamaki's character arc. Introductions are very important in media. How you decide to introduce characters in your work will be detrimental to how the viewer judges them moving forward. It'll also be a factor in their potential character arc if the creator chooses to do so. In the grand scheme of things, Tamaki and her arc just doesn't work. She's introduced as a girl with a feisty, fiery, cat-like attitude, and then gets reduced to fan service character in a matter of seconds. From season 1 to 2, she goes from damsel in distress to temporarily joining Squad 8 to then becoming a permanent member and a sister for the team. Even training under Benimaru and efforts of getting stronger, showcased in the episode Firecat. While I do appreciate all of these plot points, which make for good character beats, each one gets derailed in exchange for her dumb Lesser Lure activating. Every time she fights, her powers are never the reason she wins. Her increase in strength is never the reason she wins. It's always the fan service. What was the point of writing Tamaki having a true desire to get stronger and not being a weight pulling down others if you're just gonna 180 back to the fan service? Her Lesser Lure also never has any negative repercussions in the story. Every time it activates, it's always brushed off as, "Aw, that's just Tamaki," when she's obviously negatively affected by it. If the characters actually cared about her and noticed her negative reaction, they'd have a little motivational talk with her, further cementing the strong bond Squad 8 have with each other and love to boast about. But this never happens. Bringing us to season 3, part 2, episode 8. This was the straw that broke the camel's back for me, which sucks because, like I said, in the beginning, the first half of the episode was perfectly well executed. You would think from that intro alone, more clips of that would have been posted around. But no, it's the latter half, which I have a serious problem with. We get the final installment of the Tamaki vs. Assault trilogy because people wanted it for some reason. This time, doppelgangers of the characters have spawned from Adola to fight their otherworldly counterparts. Now you may hear that and wonder why Adola Assault is fighting Tamaki though. Well, she actually gets assistance from her universe's Assault to defeat the Adola variant. And here's where it starts to fall apart. While Adola Assault is fighting Tamaki, his attacks begin to rip her clothes apart. As she's lying on the ground injured, you hear all of these remarks from the crowd about how revolting her nudity is. She then snaps and begins to take her clothes off, dropping it on the ground like Piccolo with his battle armor. And it makes this comically big ass hole in the ground. Then Tamaki and real Assault are like, lewdness is necessary, Eros is necessary, those who think otherwise is not needed, or whatever the fuck they was yapping on about. After more Lesser Lure fan service, because it's pretty much a requirement at this point, the day is saved. And all of it is bullshit to the highest degree. Now in a weird way, this could have actually worked. Okay, just listen for a minute. Number 1. Instead of using Tamaki's Lucky Lusher as a quirky running gag, why not write it as an actual character flaw? If there were more people in the earlier seasons with these same remarks about her and were more prevalent, it would increase tension and make her eventual snap all the more rewarding. How it is now just makes it feel too sudden and undeserving. It would also aid in her overall character arc. 2. How the fight is settled undoes all the training she's done leading up to the 3rd season. Like I said prior, it makes all of that pointless if none of her fights actually end with her fully using her powers. 3. The inclusion of this fucking little shit Tatsuo. We've never seen this kid before the latest episode. Not a mention once from the mother before, nothing. It's just, oh yeah, here's my child. And while the crowd is spewing remarks at Tamaki while she's on the ground, he begins to go on this random spiel in disagreement of what his mom is saying. And while he's yapping, you come to the conclusion of, is he really justifying the fact Tamaki has no clothes on? From this point on till the end of the episode, it's non-stop projection from every single character. Almost as if Ohkubo saw negative fan reactions of the manga when working on it and decided to dedicate an entire chapter airing out his frustrations, trying to justify his use of fan service with Tamaki, and he created this Tatsuo kid as a mouthpiece for that objective. Why did he feel the need to do that? We already know these characters. We know Tamaki is the fan service character. Just do the fan service. Why are you trying to project your opinions now when you didn't do it at any point before? And you could say it's due to the mob mentality mentioned earlier in the episode when the worlds begin fusing, or the commentary on social media fandoms, but people who think this way have some validity in how they feel. It's not an issue that just spawned out of thin air. Also, the incorporation / introduction of arrows felt like more justification for why we're doing fan service at the moment. If we were gonna have Assault give that speech about how necessary it is, it should have been brought up in earlier exposition. Even Tamaki trying to flip her Lusher into something more empowering and important than it actually is, and everyone taking their clothes off in solidarity. Like, everything about the latter half of the episode just felt ham-fisted in the story for it to have a lasting impact. And my last reason, number 4, it's just not funny. It's not funny. I understand humor is very subjective in media, but I can be certain in thinking that no one finds Tamaki's Lucky Lusher funny. Every time it happens, my head leans back and my eyes roll in annoyance. Like, can we hurry up and move on? It's just juvenile humor for the sake of juvenile humor. And like I said, I have nothing wrong with fan service, as long as you incorporate it right in the story you're telling. You expect me to take Tamaki serious when during her serious moments, her Lusher activates? You're asking a lot for someone who doesn't deserve that, in my opinion. It takes me out of the immersion every time it happens. There are other series that have fan service that does it better than Fire Force, and it's more appropriate. For one, Hell's Paradise. The Tensen constantly shapeshift, and whenever they're women, most of the time they're nude, like whenever they practice Bochi Jutsu. But because of how the story tackles it, the fan service doesn't come off as crass or immature. 2. 100 Girlfriends. A show that's filled to the brim with fan service, but it's a subversion of all the common anime and manga tropes over the years. They know and understand the series they want to be, and it exceeds on that front. Number 3, Kill la Kill. The show I've seen people compare that Tamaki scene to, but like 100 Girlfriends, they know the show they're making and are unashamed about it. Number 4, My Dress Up Darling. I don't know how you can make an anime about cosplaying without some of those awkward fan service moments, but the show handles every aspect regarding cosplay with an extreme level of realism. Cosplay can be awkward, but the fun is in the fact you can dress as whoever you want, whether it's something super layered or skimpy. It's a judgment-free zone where you can express yourself to the fullest. Not to mention, shows like 100 Girlfriends, Kill la Kill, and My Dress Up Darling are actually funny. Something Fire Force can learn a thing or two from. This video isn't meant to tear down Atsushi Ohkubo for his style. I still respect the amount of creativity and unique flair that he has. When you see an anime, you know it's an Ohkubo work. Like, his art style cannot be mistaken for anyone else. I mean, probably closest would be Kei Urana, but that's because they were an assistant to him, but anyway. Secondly, I know I've been critical of Tamaki and her character, but I still do enjoy Fire Force. It's just a few things about her that I don't like that could have been written and executed better. And hopefully with the reasons I listed, my opinion is explained enough to where you understand where I'm coming from. But I'm still looking forward to how the series wraps up now that I'm officially caught up with the show. But yeah, that's the end. What do you think of Tamaki as a character? Did you agree with some of my points? Did you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you rock with the video, leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you know every time I upload. Till next time, deuces.